So after all these years, it's finally over. The story of Hawkins, of 11, of the Upside Down, it's all come to this epic, absolutely heartbreaking conclusion. But the finale of Stranger Things left us with one massive, lingering question that, honestly, is all anyone can talk about. So today, we're going to dive deep and unpack that incredible ending.
Yep, that's the one. What really happened to 11 in those final moments? Was it the ultimate sacrifice we all think we saw? Or was it something else? To even begin to answer that, we have to go back and look at the impossible, reality-bending battle that she and her friends were up against.
You know, the final episode, The Right Side Up, wasn't just another Monster of the Week fight. No way. This was the final stand. Vecna wasn't just trying to open a few gates to Hawkins anymore. His plan was way, way bigger. He was trying to literally shatter the wall between our worlds and drag our entire reality into his own personal nightmare.
Vecna's endgame was, well, it was terrifying. He wasn't satisfied with the Upside Down. He wanted to merge our world with an even darker place he called the Abyss. The goal was to just smash the two realities together and turn Earth into his own private hellscape.
And how do you anchor a hell dimension to our own? Well, according to Vecna, you need psychic vessels. And in a truly horrifying move, he started kidnapping kids. That's when this whole fight got deeply personal, because he took Mike's little sister, Holly Wheeler. All of a sudden, the end of the world wasn't some abstract threat. It was right there in the Wheelers' basement.
Okay, so how in the world do you fight a psychic god who's literally tearing reality apart at the seams? Well, our Hawkins crew came up with a plan that was desperate, brilliant, and honestly, perfectly them. A coordinated three-front war.
All right, so here's the breakdown. Their strategy had three parts, all happening at the exact same time, which is just insane. First, they were going to launch a psychic attack inside Vecna's own mind. Second, a physical assault at the Creel house to act as a distraction. And third, the grand finale, destroy the Upside Down once and for all.
So, part one of the plan was easily the most dangerous. 11 had to dive into the hive mind, that creepy shared consciousness that links Vecna to all his monsters, and fight him on his home turf. But this time, she didn't go in alone. She had backup from a very familiar face, and their mission was to rescue Max's mind from a prison built out of Vecna's worst memories. That's right, number 8, Kali. 11's long-lost sister from the lab came back, and she brought her insane illusion-casting powers with her. And let me tell you, her role in this whole fight was absolutely crucial. A total game-changer.
And this is where it gets just completely heartbreaking. In a moment of pure heroism, Callie used her powers as a psychic shield, taking the full force of Vecna's mental attacks to protect the others. But the strain? It was just too much. She died in 11's arms, but her sacrifice created the one single opening they needed to push forward.
Meanwhile, back in the real world, Will Byers did something incredible. He took his greatest weakness, that horrible connection to the mind flare that has tortured him for years, and he turned it into a weapon. He basically became a psychic lighthouse, drawing all of Vecna's attention to himself to create the perfect diversion.
And all of this brings us to the third part of the plan, taking out the Upside Down for good. You had Hopper and Murray deep in enemy territory with one job: plant a whole lot of explosives. And of course, they did it with the absolute perfect soundtrack for the end of the world.
They managed to set off this massive C4 charge right at the heart of all the rifts. The idea was to basically cauterize the wound between our worlds. And it worked. It set off this massive chain reaction, and the entire Upside Down just started to collapse in on itself.
So with Vecna totally distracted and his whole dimension crumbling around him, it all came down to one final killing blow. And in a moment of what is just perfect, poetic justice, it was Joyce Byers who delivered it. The mom who started this whole journey by refusing to believe her son was gone got to be the one to finish the monster. It was just this powerful moment showing that a mother's love was the one thing he could never beat.
Okay, so Vecna was gone. The Upside Down was destroyed. The good guys won, right? Well, as the dust settled, we were right back where we started, with the biggest question of all. What happened to 11?
From her friend's perspective, it looked like a sacrifice. As the dimension she created fell apart, 11 chose to stay behind. She did it to make absolutely sure that the gate between worlds would stay closed forever. It was her way of protecting her friends and the world one last time.
Now her fate is left super ambiguous, which has led to two main theories. Theory 1, she really did sacrifice herself. She turned to dust right along with the Upside Down. But Mike had a different idea, a much more hopeful one. What if she pulled off the greatest escape act of all time?
So we jump ahead 18 months, and Mike just refuses to believe she's gone. He comes up with this theory that 11, maybe with a final assist from Kali's power, used illusions to fake her own death, to finally give herself the freedom and peace she always deserved. He never loses faith.
And that leads us to the show's final, beautiful and totally haunting image. We see a woman who looks so much like 11 standing by a waterfall. And it's the exact spot she and Mike used to dream about escaping to. So, is this a glimpse into the afterlife? Or is it proof that Mike was right and she's finally free? The show never tells us. It's left entirely up to us to decide.
Okay, so while we're all debating what happened to Elle, the epilogue does give us a chance to see how everyone else is doing. 18 months after that final battle, Hawkins is slowly healing, and so are our heroes. They're all finding their own kind of new normal.
It's really nice to see everyone get a little bit of closure. Max and Lucas are together, working through her physical therapy. Steve Harrington, in the most Steve move ever, stays in Hawkins and becomes a high school baseball coach. Nancy and Jonathan are still figuring things out long distance, and Joyce and Hopper are finally engaged in planning a quiet life. They all got a chance to just live.
And the show's final scene is just perfect. It brings everything full circle, right back to the Wheelers' basement. We see a new group of kids playing Dungeons & Dragons just like in episode 1. But this time, the Dungeon Master is little Holly Wheeler. It's this beautiful symbol that the spirit of friendship and adventure in Hawkins lives on.
But hey, just because the main story of our Hawkins crew is over, don't think for a second we're done with the world of Stranger Things. Oh, not even close. The Duffer Brothers have already dropped hints about what's coming next.
We've got 3 spin-offs that are confirmed. There's a new live-action series coming with a whole new cast, set to explore the origins of that mysterious red rock that gave Henry Creel his powers. We're also getting an animated series that'll show us some unseen adventures with the original kids back in '85. And finally, a filmed version of the prequel stage play is on its way.
So that leaves us with that one beautiful mystery. Was 11's story a tragedy of sacrifice, or was it a triumph of escape? What do you think really happened in that final moment? I want to know. Are you team sacrifice or team escape? Drop your theory in the comments below.